Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Not Everybody Needs a Podcast by your host, McKenzie Rencher. I might just start saying my name into every intro. I will say, last week I posted a singing video, which I do maybe like once a year just for fun on TikTok. And you guys were really wanting me to do more. I'm not going to, but I just think it's funny because I feel like once a year I just do it for fun, but I just don't. It's not that I can't take it seriously. It's more so like if I do start posting singing videos, I don't know why it's embarrassing. That's what it boils down to. It's just embarrassing. I don't know why. I feel like it's like, look, guys, I can sing. And I just don't know how to do it seriously. And then I'm also like, okay, what am I going to do with this? Like, let's just say I keep doing singing videos for what? You know what I mean? I also was kind of in a rush getting ready for this episode because, well, one, I went to the doctor this morning. And so I was kind of like thrown off. My day was thrown off and I kind of just rushed back home to start recording. But I was at the doctor's this morning because I finally found a holistic doctor and got tested for, guess what? Mold. I know I talk about this every week. Y'all are just going to have to just press in with me and get there with me because it's really affecting my everyday life. So of course I have to talk about it. But because I was rushed getting ready, please, oh, look at my legs. They're actually so ashy and I didn't realize until I sat down, and I could have easily walked upstairs and got lotion, but it's like, I'm just not going to do that. And I just know you guys don't judge me and you love me the way I am. And I just appreciate that. Anyway, I went this morning to the holistic doctor. Thank God they actually listen to you there. You want to know why? Because insurance doesn't cover it and it's so expensive, and that's the only way that you can get people to listen to you these days, which is so unfortunate. So anyway, I walked in, I checked in, they checked my weight and my blood pressure, everything was fine. And then I got in with the doctor and she just did not make me feel rushed at all, listened to everything I said, did not make me feel crazy. I have really felt crazy the last few months, and she was just validating everything I said. She was checking some of my reflexes, and so like, you know, when you tap on your knee, it's supposed to move, like that's just a natural reflex. She showed me what her knee did and it kicked, you know, regularly, and then she did it to me and my leg did not kick regularly. And so she said that that's a sign of maybe some thyroid issues. She's like, don't worry about it until we get tested, but I would love to just go ahead and get your hormones checked. And then she was also saying that all of my symptoms do lead to us having some mold exposure. So we are finally getting answers, folks. We are. So I'll know in the next few weeks if we do or don't, because they will test it. And then from there, we'll just have to figure it out from there. But luckily, got all my hormones tested. I'll let you guys know about that too, because I've been wanting to do that for so long. And I didn't realize that anyone in Greenville did that. My mom got hers done and hers were all out of whack. And she ended up getting a bunch of like vitamins because she had deficiencies and whatever. And it's so important to get that checked. But y'all, it's expensive. I left there with a bill, let me tell you that much. And it makes me sad that this is not accessible to people. I mean, even if you have insurance, which is a luxury because it's expensive, they don't cover it. So tough. But I really felt like this is something that I had to do for myself because I was going crazy and just my health. And it just, I don't know. I needed to do it for my sanity. And so I'll have answers about my hormones in a week. And then I'll have answers about the toxic test. I don't know. That's definitely not what it's called, but something like that in about 3 weeks. And this weekend we are in Jacksonville, and I may or may not, I don't want to confirm, I don't want to deny if I will be recording a podcast episode there. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I can't spill any secrets or tea, but I just know that next week I may have a fun episode for you guys that I'm very, very excited about. Today, I really wanted to get into how to build a man 101. I'm just kidding. You can't. The answer is don't. But I did want to get into the difference between knowing that you want to be with somebody, but there may be some things in the way of that, or trying to fix a man that is just not meant for you, and knowing the difference. Now, I have been with Darian now for our 8 years is this September, but our 3-year anniversary of of marriage is next month. So I haven't really had to deal with that in a really long time as far as dating goes, but I do know that we are ever growing people. And even when we were first dating, there were definitely some things that him and I both had to work through. And I very quickly learned the difference of building a man who is not ready for you and trying to make him into somebody that he's not. Or I like to say they have like a good foundation. If a man has a good foundation and there are just some things that they have to learn, I feel like society tries to shame you if you have to work on things like that. And I just think it needs to be talked about more. And so I'm going to go into kind of what that looked like for Darian and I when we first started dating, and just kind of like some red flags to look out for. So whenever Darian and I first started dating, I knew that he was a good man. I mean, all of the green flags were there. The foundation was there. And once we first started dating, I got confused when I realized that he wasn't perfect. And what I mean when I say that is I was like, okay, so I found a man. He has a great foundation, good character. You know, I never have to worry about, if he's cheating or whatever. And so in my head, I'm like, oh, great. I mean, sure, we'll have some arguments and some things that we have to work through, whatever. But I did get confused if I was like, wait, why aren't you texting me as much as I would like, or whatever? And I would get in my head of like, oh my gosh, are we not supposed to be together because he isn't perfect? And I soon had to realize that you sometimes do have to help someone love you the way that you want to be loved. And I don't mean begging a man for attention or for him to love you the correct way or anything. What I mean by that is there were ways that I wanted to feel loved, ways that I felt seen, loved, respected, that Darian just had no idea. I was his first girlfriend, his first real girlfriend. He'd talked to girls before, but never dated them. And I was his first love as well. And so he did not know what he was doing. And I don't think that that is something that should be shamed or looked down upon or something to break up over. And I just slowly had to realize that, like, I guess I'm really playing off the fact that you see online, like, if he wanted to, he would. And I'm just like, yes, while I do agree with that, and I have said that before, I also know that there were ways that I desired to be loved that Darian just had no idea that I needed. So for example, whenever we first started dating, and there's different areas even to this day that I have to do this, but I just want to go back to the start of like, when we first started dating, I felt like it mattered for us to talk every day. And I had a full-time insurance job. He had full-time school, full-time football. Like, we were both super busy. And sometimes he would go a day without talking to me. And I was like, listen, brother, I don't think that we need to be talking 24/7. I don't even necessarily think that that's healthy. But I think that we need to be doing check-ins and definitely a phone call at the end of the day. And I think that this is a little bit different for us just because he would get up at 5:30 every day, go have his workout, go to classes, go to his second workout, go to more classes. Then he'd have meetings at the end of the day. Like, his schedule is crazy. So of course it looks different person by person. But all in all, I did have to voice to him, hey, this matters to me. And he had to make adjustments. And there are things that I had to do as well. I mean, not as much as him, but I also did have boyfriends in the past, and like, I just think that he didn't really have like specific desires like I did. And there are things that we just had to work through. Now, let me tell you what I would not have put up with. Over and over and over, me having to tell him, hey, this is not how I deserve to be treated. Or if he was, having these big lash out moments where I had to, correct it and be like, hey, you can't yell at me, or you can't do this. If it comes to the point where it's like a constant redirection, or you are being treated horribly, and I'm not talking about abuse or any of that, please leave and get out. But I'm just talking about like these little minor adjustments. I think that I also get DMs a lot of people asking like, hey, this happens, like, is that a red flag or whatever? Just because I feel like I am public about like, you need to be dating somebody that treats you well. And I think people take that and they think that you have to have a perfect relationship, and that's just not true. But I don't believe in building a man, but I do believe in helping the person who you want to be with love you. And I don't think that that is wrong. And I think these people that are like, you shouldn't have to tell a man how to blank, blank, blank. If that's how you feel, great. Go find somebody that loves you perfectly and you never have to tell anything to. And I don't think there's men out there that aren't like that. I think some men maybe do love you perfectly and you don't have to tell them things, and congrats to you. But I think for the majority of us, it's totally normal to have to redirect men and say, hey, this matters to me that you do special things for me. I had to tell Darian, hey, it matters to me that you surprise me with things. I love surprises. I love to come home and say, oh my gosh, my favorite whatever's on the table, or I have flowers and I love flowers or whatever. I don't care about flowers, but just little things like that where it's like, I don't really think he knew to do for me. He was like, oh, well, I just thought like, oh, I wrote you a letter. Like, that's fine. And I'm like, and I love words of affirmation, but also like, I love gifts, and it doesn't have to be anything crazy. I just like to be thought of while you're out or whatever. So basically, I hope what you got from that is that you shouldn't have to tell a man to love you, but if you have to tell him ways that you would like to be loved, there's nothing wrong with that, okay? Speaking of love, let's talk about The Bachelor. You guys, I saw clips because it came out last night. I saw clips. I don't actually watch The Bachelor either. It makes me nauseous. Like, I cannot take it seriously when they start kissing like multiple women, and it honestly infuriates me and I get too emotionally attached and it's just too much. But this season I followed along on TikTok clips, okay? And I was dying last night. One, because first of all, people were saying that Latia switched up at the end whenever she like didn't get what she wanted or like didn't end up with him. Girl, I would have burned the place down. Like, you still handled that with such grace and kindness. Oh, honey, it is diabolical. This man told you the night before when you said, oh my gosh, we're getting engaged tomorrow. He said, oh my gosh, I can't wait. I love you. I love you. I love you. What? Because I would have freaked the next day when I realized that he was getting engaged to another woman. Like, you just don't do that. You just do not do that. And I feel like I've said this before, but like, we're just never going to get another Joey. Like, I didn't even watch Joey's season either. I kind of watched it through. No, maybe I did watch Joey's season towards the end. I watched like halfway, and he just handled everything so well. Like, even with Daisy knowing at the end, like, it wasn't her, like, that's kind of how it should be. There shouldn't be two women like being like, oh, it's for sure me, because you basically led both of them on. It's crazy. And I did not watch enough, so I don't want to give too much on like who he should be with, blah, blah, blah. It was his decision. But I just think like leading someone on like that is crazy. And Latia is so tea. Like, she is so, you can just tell, like, she is that girl. She's going to find somebody amazing, especially after all this. I'm curious if she'll beat The Bachelor. I don't even know when they announced that. I would watch that. Okay. I would. Because I know the men that they're going to bring in for her are going to be iconic, because she is so beautiful. And whoever she ends up with is going to be very, very lucky. That's all I'll say. And that's all the opinions that I really have on that, considering I did not watch this season. But I do know that I don't know if I'll ever watch a full season of Bachelor, just because I get nauseous. Like, tell me y'all don't get a little nauseous. Even the fans that watch it and are like loyal to the franchise, you can't tell me that you don't watch this and you're like, what is going on? Because I know I do. I'm always like, what's happening? Even in the clips, I'm like, I want to throw up. There's like so many birds outside my house. What does this mean? Certainly that's like a spiritual thing and I'm being blessed or something. Anyway, oh my God, did I ever tell you guys about the time that a bird told me that I was pregnant? Because it did. I don't think I've ever told the story, and I was not planning on telling the story, but the bird just reminded me. I found out I was pregnant before I even took a test. Not actually, but like when we were on our honeymoon, we had not seen any birds while we were there. Like definitely no pigeons, like none of that. And a pigeon is such a specific bird to see. Like you don't really see them often. So we're just like in Mexico eating, blah, 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 blah. I'm praying. I was like outside reading or something, praying. And a pigeon like flies right by me and is like all in my business and like flies over my head. And I was like, that is so weird. I just had this inkling that I was supposed to look up what a pigeon meant. Guess what the first thing it said was? Fertility. So I screenshotted it because I was like, if I'm pregnant, I have to have proof of the date and time that this happened, or else no one is going to believe me because this is the craziest thing. So I showed Darian, I'm like, ha ha, it says fertility. And he's like, oh Lord, like absolutely not for a few years. I'm like, yeah, I know, I would die. Ha ha ha. Cue to 3 weeks later, I'm pregnant. Great. Anyway, so moving on from the birds, I feel like I've been like making a lot of time lately for my friendships, and it makes me so happy. Yesterday after I worked out, I planned a little lunch date with Bryce, who's one of my friends, and I hung out with friends on Saturday. I met one of my best friends, just had a baby, so I met her little boy Jones, and I went with a few of my friends and we just spent the afternoon together. And then tonight I have a dinner with one of my good friends who I never get to see, Erica. And yeah, I just like, I did say in 2025 that I did want to be a better friend, but then I kind of like lost the vision a little bit. And I realized that I would go weeks without seeing my friends, and it's no one's fault but my own. And I just love my friendships and value them so much. And I just want that to be reflected in the way I spend my time. Now, don't get me wrong. I've definitely had to give up time in other areas, and that's just adulthood and motherhood. Like I feel like when I do give more time and energy into my friendships, I definitely give less time or energy somewhere else. Right now, that's a clean house. I cannot tell you the amount of piled laundry that's in my house. And I'm not even saying that to be like, oh my God, I'm like so relatable. Like, look guys, I'm dirty. No, it's clean laundry. Don't get me wrong. It's just not folded and put away. But I feel like that's like a good lesson that you can be a good friend. You just might have to give up and something else in another area. And for me right now, that's just like not feeling like I have my life completely put together, but being okay with that because I really value being a good friend, and I can see the way that my life looks different and the way that I enjoy life differently whenever I am a good friend and whenever I do make time to be with my friends. And so, yeah, I'm excited that I feel like I'm doing that. And I definitely need Darian's help a lot more whenever I do that too. Cause like whenever I am with the kids, obviously whenever I'm with my friends, like he obviously has the kids. And so I have to make sure that like I'm giving him time to like go and do the things he needs to do as well. But it's always worth it. And I always feel like it's worth it. And maybe next week I'll talk more about friendships. Don't want to give off too many details. I'm sure you guys, if you guys know anything about me, kind of know what I'm hinting at, but I'm really excited for next week's episode. I really am. Oh my gosh. Also, before I forget, I have to say this. I got the most exciting call about the event. If you guys don't know, I'm hosting a event in June. It's a girls' night out, and the theme is Romantic Rose Garden. And I got the most exciting call about some of the rentals that we're going to use over there and what it's going to look like and the setup and all of that. And we are planning a dessert tasting in a few weeks, and we're going to go there and be able to see everything start to come together. And I'm so excited. And the vision is just iconic. I'm so excited to show you guys everything. Let me know if you guys want me to vlog, because I might do like a TikTok vlog of like the dessert tastings and all that. I won't give too much away about what it looks like, but maybe I can show you guys like the different tastings and stuff that we're going to do, because I'm really excited for that. But okay, that's going to wrap up today's episode because I'm all thrown off from this morning, and I do have to get some other things done for the event today. But as always, we're going to end with a McKenzie's mindset, which is my mindset on your scenarios or questions. And you guys don't even have to give me whenever you send them in. Like maybe you just want my thoughts on something and it's not an exact scenario. Do that too, because I did get some feedback last week when I asked for it, of like people being like, you should just start doing like general topics. And I like that. So if you guys want general topics, I can also do that as well. It doesn't have to be exact scenarios, but let's get into the first McKenzie's mindset. How do you find the patience in parenting? I don't have the village community or the breaks. I'm the sole provider and caregiver, and the toddler situations are easy to deal with when I have the empathy and patience, but it's not always easy to turn on if I'm already overstimulated. How do you find the patience, and how do you tackle the mom guilt when you have to just take a minute and find that peace for yourself first before giving it to your kids? One, I applaud you 100%. I cannot believe that you were the sole provider and you don't get any breaks and you don't have a village. Like, I seriously applaud you. That is amazing. You're an amazing mom. And the fact that you even want to be the best version of yourself for your kids shows that you're an amazing mom. So be encouraged by that you're doing an amazing job. I would say whenever I have the kids solely by myself, which honestly isn't that often. I mean, Darian does go out of town a good bit, but for the most part, I do have help. And I mean, our moms will come help us. And so I can't say that I relate 100%, but I do know that even if I can't relate 100%, I can relate to being overstimulated. That is no joke. I know that this sounds really simple, but honestly, just like breathing, number one, if I get in a situation where I'm overstimulated or maybe my toddler like isn't listening or whatever, my first thing is I'm like, okay, one, I have to remind myself that this is a 2-year-old. She doesn't know how to regulate her emotions. She doesn't understand that she can't get everything that she wants when she wants it. So having that grace for them, and then in turn having that grace for yourself, and knowing like, okay, I have a choice to treat this child like a child and say, listen, she's not trying to upset me. She's not trying to make me mad. She's just being a toddler, and taking a deep breath and having the same grace on her that I would want to have on little 2-year-old me. I know that sounds like silly, but I mean, when you were 2, imagine somebody like screaming at you and whatever, losing it on you when you didn't know how to regulate your emotions. Like, their behavior is normal. So just give them grace and give yourself grace in turn. And yeah, you saying find that peace for yourself first before giving it to your kids. I feel like you hit the nail on the head, and like knowing that in order to give your kids peace, you have to be filled with peace first. And so I'm not sure if you follow Jesus or not. You didn't, say anything about that. But I mean, finding your peace in Jesus and knowing that it's a fruit of the Spirit first, and being able to in turn give that to your kids is so important. So that would be my advice for that. The second, McKenzie's mindset. My boyfriend and I have been together for 3 years, and not to brag, but it truly is such a healthy relationship, especially compared to some of the toxic ones my friends are in or have been in. I graduated college in 2024, and he is graduating this year. When both at home, we live 2.5 hours away from each other. We both are willing to make it work, but he has a year of grad school still. Having a tough time on how to handle him, not having a job yet, not being able to afford moving in together, and we're only 23, but it seems like a long path ahead of us. We both want 4 kids. Do you have any advice on how to feel comfortable in the stage that we're at now? I would say good things take time. If he's in grad school, sounds like one day you guys are going to live an okay life. And I think that 3 years, and whenever you say 3 years, it sounds like it's so long. But in the grand scheme of things, it's really not. Like the fact that Darren and I have been together 8 years, like if you would have told me, hey, you and Darian are going to wait 5 years to get married, I would have been like, 5 years? Like, why 5 years of dating is crazy. That feels so long, whatever, even though we were so young. And in turn, I'm like, no, intern. I don't know if intern, that's not the word. Sorry guys, brain fog from the freaking mold infested house I live in that I don't even know if it's moldy. Anyway, all I'm saying is at the end of it all, it's been 8 years, and I'm like, why was I in a rush? Why was I ever in a rush? And I think just like taking one step at a time and having patience with each other. And I know that it's really hard to do long distance there. And I did long distance for, I think, 3.5 years, maybe longer, maybe shorter. I don't know. But we did long distance for a long time. And we really had to learn different ways to love each other and how to make each other feel cared for. And so I do know that it feels like it's a long time, but it will fly by. And if this really is your person and you know this is somebody that you want to marry and be together forever, it is not going to feel like an eternity at the end. It's going to feel so worth it. And I know it's tough to not be able to afford like a certain lifestyle right now, or being able to afford to move in together or whatever. But again, I just think patience is important in situations like this, and you can do it. I believe in you. Well, guys, that's going to be the end of today's episode. I hope you guys liked this. You guys send in more Mackenzie's mindsets, general or specific or scenarios, whatever, and I will be sure to get to them. I love you guys so much. Subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, because I'm doing a big 40K giveaway. Go subscribe right now. If you are listening on Apple or on Spotify, please go follow along on there as well. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys listening every week. And I will see you guys next week with a new episode of Not Everybody Needs a Podcast.